Meanwhile, fake news peddlers can be fined and jailed for disinformation. This is in terms of the new government regulations. To discuss this, we are now joined by Yavi Madurai, who is a social analyst and the managing director of Black Box Theories. He joins us via Skype. Good evening and welcome to The Full View. Looking at the regulations that have been gazetted, I just want to understand, looking at the wording, for instance, it says that any person who publishes any statement through any medium, including social media, with the intention to deceive, is it the intention part that is very important to determine whether this person is guilty of contravening the gazetted rules?
I think there's two sides to it. So, when we've dealt with fake news before, it's always been in an environment where it's, elections or certain stories that were not necessarily life-threatening. We're sitting with a situation, unprecedented, global pandemic. If we don't huge measures around fake news and forcing people to become more and more vigilant around what they post and how they post. And if you click post, if you click share, if you click retweet, there's some responsibility on you that you did it with intention. So we're living in a time where that fake news could be life-threatening to someone. So with that in mind, it becomes a very different story that we're talking about when we're speaking about fake news today, as we would have a couple of weeks ago.
But how would you, if you're on social media and you see a post, how would you know whether that's fake news or not before you retweet or before you even like or comment on that tweet?
So one of the things that, especially about fake news regarding, remember, it's very specific. It says COVID-19. It says anything with regard to the South African government, et cetera, et cetera. I won't go into the detail. It's on there.
Sure.
When those kind of parameters, it's easy for you to be able to go onto sites like, and the Department of Health has set up sacoronavirus.co.za. They are having their social media accounts open that they are able to tweet out information. The WHO, as in the World Health Organization, has been putting out information literally on a minute-by-minute basis almost. There's enough retweets to be able to say, please check this information. I'll give you an example. If you go onto the World Health Organization site, there is a part about public advice. And if you look at some of the myths that have had to be busted, in inverted commas, around things like, eating garlic or taking hot baths, or there was the issue around the hairdryer. So there are things and information that we can double check this information with. Having said that, take a screenshot, put it out there and say who has any information on this before we just retweet or share. I think for us, as it becomes that much more critical to be able and verify what we say. We wouldn't say things out in the world, in the physical world. So in the same way, in the online world, we need to just check things before we post it, especially in this day and age.
And I see that there is a fine or a 6-month imprisonment that anyone could face if they do retweet and repost that fake news. How does government then implement it? I'm not too sure whether we have any case law with regards to that.
So you'd have to obviously speak to the legal fraternity around the actual case law around it. But when you look at what they have now said, they have put it into the regulations. So if it's been put into the regulations, it's there. In terms of being able to monitor it, remember, the online world it mirrors the offline world. So what would we have done if something was spread irresponsibly, or something was done after you were told not to do something, a rule or a bylaw? Would you have broken the law if you had said it in the real world? If you had done something in the real world, what would have happened then? In exactly the same way, the same measures are applied. It's no different to the physical world. The online world is it's just a mirror. So if we had broken a law or a rule in the physical world, what would happen? In the same way, it would be able to be monitored and measured. Remember, somebody has to report, somebody has to say something, something, somebody has to do something. If it's being picked up, if it's being monitored, I can tell you that my business at the moment is using a tool to be able to pick up on those kind of things. It's obviously quite a bit because we've got to wade through the international stuff, the African stuff in terms of continental as well as South African. But just like me, there are a couple of businesses that are starting to do it. So within the next 24 to 48 hours, you are going to see tools being, popping up in order for citizens to be able to make use of those to complain, and then we can be able to move it on to government and in some way get it to them and enact those kind of rules and policies. It's now where we have to all come together to be able to do stuff to save ourselves and protect ourselves.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a social media analyst and managing director of Black Box Theory, Yavi Madurai.